Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. It's been a while since we last had our guest. He's a former leader of Neturei Karta, former chief rabbi in Austria. He's Rabbi Moshe Aryeh Friedman. He actually brought the Neturei Karta to a Holocaust-denying conference about 20 some years ago. So, Shavua, welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Shua Tov, Chodesh Tov, Reb Zev, Shua Tov and Chodesh Tov to all of you in the audience. Thank you very much.
So good to have you back. So before we get to, I know you're looking to stop Metzitza B'Peh oral suction in Belgium, and you want to bring this to other parts of the world as well. But I'm curious to get your feedback, because you were Neturei Karta. We had you on the air. We got you to renounce Neturei Karta. What do you think about the fact that Neturei Karta is so supportive of Hamas and these terrorists? They actually went to Tehran before October 7th, I believe, too.
Yes, I think we were having this quite for many years on your program, and I have recently, I must say, I more or less didn't get came across to any of them to their postings and things of that, but I do realize that you had on the program the issue, but there is nothing changed. My position on it was clear ever since.
No, but what do you think about the fact that they're still working with Hamas and supportive of them and marching in rallies? It's something which I know a lot of people have been upset about.
Yes, I followed the last week's broadcasting from.
Zev, nothing's coming out on the air other than you. There's no voice.
Let me check. Thanks.
I would appreciate maybe if we can concentrate on the program today on the MVP.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're just covering some of that. So follow my lead. So okay.
Yes, I enjoyed following last week. I happen to know, for example, the father of Rabbi Jacobson. You could see his pain. He was speaking the truth out of him, a very painful, shocking story, and there is nothing I would love to join, but I was not aware prior in advance about the program last week. And yes, I think there is a big change in all of that, because I personally didn't even came across any reportings on them in recent months. So I think that it's a big change. Unlike before, I think they are more in places like TikTok, social media, where I'm not so present there or not present at all. So yes.
Okay. No. So obviously it's something that but you have no connection with them, correct?
No, not at all. No.
Okay. So let's get back to what you're doing. I know that you are on a campaign in Belgium to fight Metzitza B'Peh. It's in the court system. You've helped bring it to the court system. When did you get involved in this issue, and what's happening?
I got involved, and I was preparing this issue for a long time, for many years, I would say. And I was reluctant. I tried to avoid announcing it or getting operational before being really assured that in terms of the implementation, that I can implement it without any difficulty. In the last summer, since last summer, there was a lot of major breakthroughs. Namely, I succeeded to gather the entire political system, the various ministers, all of them on the same page, and there is so I was sure that I can go for it. But the primary goal was actually to have a new legislation on the issue, and it turned out that was no need for a new legislation, given that in Belgium the legal system here is having constitution in place, having the legislature that the issue of Metzitza B'Peh is here by all means illegal and criminal. So it contains quite a number of criminal elements. So the Belgian government forwarded the case to the justice, where I joined, and they are now currently not only battling for it, there is a prosecution currently ongoing, but simultaneously the Belgian government is also ordering the Jewish community in Antwerp to stop the Metzitzah B'Peh altogether.
Now, let's for our audience that may not be familiar with Metzitzah B'Peh, it's oral suction. It's part of circumcision, where some groups do this, where the mole circumciser puts his mouth and just sucks out some of the blood. It's not done by every circumcision, but it's done by some. It's something which has gotten a lot of attention years ago in New York City, and then it got quiet, you know. But what do you care if they do Metzitzah B'Peh? What is it become? Why is it such a big crusade for you?
It is a moral and religious duty for me, by all means, to bring an end to it. I was personally a victim, and
when you say a victim of what?
Meaning that I have some shocking experience in that area, that I have a lot of knowledge about what is going on, and I was also shocked on the wrong information and the disinformation the Orthodox community is being fed on this. And if you allow me, Reb Zev, to summarize what the issue is. If we speak about Metzitzah, before even going into Metzitzah B'Peh, the Metzitzah as such is having the source in Chazal, in the Gemara Shabbos, whereas the issue of Metzitzah was always overwhelmingly considered as being health for health reasons, but not being part to Brit Milah as such. Whereas the Metzitzah B'Peh doesn't even have a halachic source. It came up only later, whereas it was considered by the vast majority of rabbis as having a health background. Some consider it Kabbalistic, but that's another story. Given that it's a health reason, it was always in consensus that when there is a health problem, you should never think of. So there was, if we speak about Metzitzah B'Peh, it was actually overwhelmingly opposed. All the rabbis opposed Metzitzah B'Peh, contrary to what the propaganda which is ongoing. It was actually banned by a lot of rabbis. A lot of them were reluctant to come in the open, but when it came to when there is a danger, and there was a danger, for example, in Vienna at the time of the Chassam Sofer, so Chassam Sofer put a ban and an isur on Metzitzah B'Peh. And since before the Second World War, it was actually banned and untolerated by the entire Jewish community. So to come now and present the case of Metzitzah B'Peh in New York as a sort of an assault on religious freedom is simply blatantly lying. Because if there is an assault, it's an assault on the religious freedom of every parent to avoid.
Well, the parent could decide, I want to have Metzitzah B'Peh on my child, or I don't, right? Nobody forces you to do it.
No, I think if we start with Antwerp, Antwerp has a very shocking system that the practice is on Metzitzah B'Peh only, meaning that if a modern Orthodox Jew, or if I would like to do a Brit Milah, I'm forced to do Metzitzah B'Peh, because the few Mohalim here are usually only Satmar Hasidim or Satmar alike, and they are actually imposing their lifestyle also on the vast majority of Jews in Antwerp who are not ultra-Orthodox. They're simple, like Young Israel type or Orthodox, simple Orthodox.
But can you get a mole of your own choosing and bring them? There's no other mole?
No. And that's something very much imposing a very radicalized lifestyle on people who were doing everything in the world to avoid that, because the same type of Jews here in other countries, for example, if I would go to New York or in London, I can choose any modern Orthodox synagogue or any normal synagogue to conduct Brit Milah without Metzitzah B'Peh, but in at least having the protection, the two protecting from. And here in Antwerp, if you allow me to elaborate more on that, here in Antwerp some years ago was also a mohel, who was also happened to be the shochet, one of the shochet here. conducted a Brit Milah and a baby, which the baby contained HIV/AIDS that infected the Mohel. The Mohel died 2 years later, and it was a big mess. He did a lot of circumcisions, and it was covered up. So the question whether or not the Metzitza B'Peh is dangerous and contains even an assault and risk of killing children, is quite clear. If you allow me also...
No, but 1 second, because I know even in New York, they said that there may have been some cases of HIV or some people getting infected because of the Metzitza B'Peh oral suction. But I believe that those cases were very small and limited in number. It wasn't anything on a grand scale, only very small amounts.
I can tell you there is, we have to distinguish between the published cases and the published which is covered up. There are many cases which I know here who are the pharmacies, the doctors, the hospitals are aware of, but it's always covered up with not reporting properly what happened, let alone that no one wants to come forward. So there is a lot of problems, not with herpes and other things alike. And
but we're not coming forward. If your God forbid, if your baby is sick, you send it to the hospital. The hospital sees that there's a problem, so all of a sudden, more people know about it.
No, I think it's fair to say that the cases, the victims are by far more than the reported ones. And also, we had the ruling of the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer said at the time, I will quote the chief rabbi of Vienna, Rabbi Horowitz, sent to his colleague in Bratislava in Slovakia, asking his ruling on a case where according to his question, there is a large number of children being infected from an illness very similar to herpes at the time. The doctors were judging the case as proven that it came from the circumciser. At the end, the test turned out otherwise, and then he asked his rabbi, the Chassam Sofer, then there is a suffix, the Kirch Nefesh, and the Chassam Sofer said, even there is the slightest doubt, we don't have to prove the case, if there is a slight doubt that it could result in illness and infection and dying of children, we should stop it altogether. So I think the whole narrative that it has to be clear and cost proven in each case is, when it comes to Pikuach Nefesh, not relevant.
But obviously, the Chassam Sofer were very respected religious authority and figure. But obviously, not everybody's accepting that ruling. There are groups of Hasidim, especially, that do Metzitza B'Peh around the world, whether
but
it's Belgium and New York.
They are rebellious against their own rabbis. I think that's the.
But they have their own rabbis that say do it. Obviously, their rabbis not ruling in accordance with the Chassam Sofer's halachic ruling.
Yeah, but the irony of the case is also that the radical groups in New York and Brooklyn, for example, such as Satmar, are always pretending to be the followers of the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer was also the rabbi where the more group, the Kanaim, and also Neturei Karta are following. And now they have a clear and cut ruling from the Chassam Sofer, and they are just rebellious against him. It's just, I think, I find it a despicable behavior, and they are just feeding false information. Their own rabbis banned it by all means. And then we don't have to say what the Brisker Rabbonim and all of them were all the literature Rabbonim, for example, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, for example. There is also a documentation where Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, which was also one of the Gedolei Israel, said that he is aware of Mohel in New York with the name Zimmerman, if I'm not wrong. In fact, was infected with HIV. And he would ban it, and he was asked, why don't you put a ban on Metzitza B'Peh altogether? And he answered by saying, and I quote, I'm not in an age that I can afford my windows being broken. So he just stood quiet. And that applies, I think, to others too.
But the problem is there's no regulatory agency. I've covered this in years past, at least in New York, we're dealing with circumcision. So each mole operates independently. There's no body that regulates molim, and maybe that's not a bad idea to have, not just up to Metzitza B'Peh in general, to have a regulatory in-house, a Jewish agent that goes ahead and license or regulates a molim. not a bad idea. I think we've
Yes,
spoken about.
but if you allow me to interrupt, I was also on the opinion here that there is a new legislation is necessary, but it turned out that the current legislation is sufficient. I believe also that, and I'm also preparing to take some action in New York, that in New York, the conducting Matzitza B'Peh nowadays is criminal, let alone when there is, doing a campaign for Matzitza B'Peh and not doing the necessary protection is criminal. And I think in New York also, you would not really need a new legislation. I think there is some enforcement means to do it imminently. And I think at the time it was a waste of time trying to have legislation. Then it ended up with a block vote with some, if you allow me to say, there was some nasty deals. The mayor tried his best, the health department tried his best. And I think that the issue remained unsolved, and that it's just a question of time, just that it will happen something similar like it's going to happen here in Antwerp.
Rabbi Moshe Friedman is our guest. He is in Belgium. He's fighting Matzitza B'Peh, former leader of the Neturei Karta, former chief rabbi in Austria. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. If you'd like to chime in our conversation, you can always call us at 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. You want to email's a wonderful way to get your questions answered. Zev@talklinenetwork.com, Zev@talklinenetwork.com. Coming up a little while, we'll be speaking to two Israelis that are looking to make a difference because they want to protect Israelis. They're training Israelis in self-defense and not relying on anybody, but you have to do something about it. We'll also speak to a former Givati soldier who's also in this effort. You don't want to miss that coming up in just a little while. 1 week from tonight, David Schottenstein, he's from the Schottenstein family. He went to prison for insider trading. He just got out. We will have an exclusive interview with him in just 1 week's time. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Hello. Sure. Hold on. What is your name? And where you call New Jersey? But I'm going to call you back from another line. Give me 1 second. What's your phone number? Okay. 6392. I'm calling you right now.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. You're David. Which part of New Jersey?
North Jersey.
Sure. Hold on. You're going to be on next. Hold on.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. Zev Brenner's Talkline network invites you to join us for the launch of WNEW 102.7 FM HD3, your go-to destination for the best in Jewish culture, music, news, and talk. We're not just a radio station, we're a community. Connect with us in the car, on the go, or at talklinenetwork.com and the hour 24-hour listen line on your cell phones at 641-793-0382. That's 641-793-0382. Imagine 24 hours daily access to the richness of Jewish life and thought. It's like having a vibrant community at your fingertips, no matter where you are. From thought-provoking discussions to the latest news, our programming is designed to entertain, inform, and inspire. You won't want to miss a moment. Join us on WNEW 102.7 FM HD3 and TalklineNetwork.com. Don't miss out on the excitement. Spread the word, tell your friends, and get ready for a new era of broadcasting. This is more than a radio station. It's a celebration of our rich heritage and platform for a shared future. For more information, to host your own radio show podcast, call us at 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925, extension 100. Talkline, America's premier Jewish network, broadcasting 24 hours a day.
And before we get back to our guests, let's hear the latest news from those Shurin in Israel. Hello? You can't hear anything right now? You watch, oh, YouTube, now you're on watching YouTube, you're coming right back on right now. And we're back, and our guest is Rabbi Moshe Friedman, former leader of the Neturei Karta. Now he's fighting Metzitza B'Peh in Belgium. We're taking some of your phone call. Let's go to David in northern New Jersey. You have a question or comment for our guest. Go ahead, David.
Mhm. Mhm.
Rabbi Friedman.
I didn't hear the question.
The question that he said is that did you misspeak when you said HIV when we meant to say herpes? There's no many cases of HIV from comes from Metzitza B'Peh, so it's not possible.
Yeah. Starting with Belgium, here in namely with Antwerp to begin with, there was a very major case here with HIV, with shocking results. So that's for sure. I was quoting HIV about New York because there is some quote from Rabbi Auerbach referring to, I mentioned even the name of a Mohel, which was a HIV case, but he's right that most of the cases were herpes and herpes alike. He's right with that. Lev, I cannot hear him. Maybe there is.
I'm not sure why not here, but he wants to know if there are any news source that you could provide which would demonstrate what you're saying, that there are cases of herpes or HIV, yes.
Yes, sure. There is a lot of reports currently ongoing here. As a matter of fact, I'm not in New York, but as I said before, there is enough of cases of herpes. There were cases where the Mohalim were forbidden, and they had rabbis who asked them even to continue doing.
Herpes that he's familiar with. HIV is the issue.
Yeah, HIV in New York, I cannot. I think I would not comment on that. But I just mentioned, I quoted Rav Auerbach that he was referring to a specific case also of HIV, and he said that he would have banned Metzitza B'Peh altogether, and therefore I quoted him. But I'm not aware of HIV cases in New York personally.
That forcing your from
let me just tell our audience what they're referring to. And one of the times Rabbi Moshe Friedman he had some conflict with I believe the Belza school system. They wouldn't accept his boys in the school, so he placed them in the Beis Yaakov, which is an all-girls school. That's what you're referring to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So my question is that to me that's child abuse. So my question is, why would a person who's obviously performative in many ways, which includes hurting his own children, why should we take him seriously about anything?
Mm-hmm. So what is the question exactly?
I understand the question. In other words, you're saying that first of all, how did your boys fare were they about a year in Beis Yaakov, if I remember correctly? Is that or longer?
No, I think at the time, it's quite some years ago, maybe 11, 12 years ago, I had put two of my boys into a girls' school in Belz.
Beis
and
Yaakov.
but no, it was
Beis Yaakov? I thought it was Beis Yaakov.
no, but then it was just a preliminary court order in the first instance, and then they were settled indefinitely in Bet Yaakov. Boys at the boys and the girls at the girls. So it was just a matter of a few weeks that the court has issued an order to put the boys into the girls' school. Nothing further beyond that.
That answer your question?
No, my question is that
if you allow me,
if you
allow me to finish, we are talking about very small boys. We're not talking about big boys. We're speaking about small boys of 6 years of age or 8 years of age. So there was boys in girls' schools before the Second World War. There used to be almost all of them. All of our grandparents used to be in mixed schools. So I think there's don't get emotional about it. No, there's no reason for that.
Does that answer?
My question is that there's no way that was not hurtful to the kids, and that was performative. Everybody knows that was performative. So we're dealing with someone who does performative things regardless of its effect on even his own family members. So my question is, how are we supposed to really take him seriously? He's done other performative stuff,
So
going to Iran, Holocaust.
So let me ask you this question. Well, he gave up. He gave up. His program. He gave up and renounced Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas and all the other groups that he had an association with at the time. To my knowledge, Rabbi, for you didn't go back to any association with these terrorist groups or Nazi groups or anti-Semitic groups, correct?
Yes, but Zev, I have presented to the audience just facts and figures with factual elements, and I would appreciate if your caller could refer something to the issue as such.
No, but the point that I wanted to make, as far as the call is concerned, I think you're mixing borscht with beets and apples, whatever, because the fact is, though, what does one have to do with the other?
Yes.
My question is that he has a lifetime history of doing performative things, extreme performative things. So why should we assume now that this isn't another extreme performative thing?
Yeah.
Okay. But
I think that his approach shows that he has nothing to add to the issue as such. I would appreciate, I would respect if you can ask me something to the issue of
Anyway, I appreciate your phone call. Thank you for your phone call.
Thank you.
By the way, the last time you were on the air, there was a bitter divorce case which pitted the rabbis in England versus the rabbis in Austria, right?
Yes.
So, and that was something that you were working with the woman from England.
Yes.
Whatever happened with that case?
That case, I cannot report. I have no competence to report on the current status of it. But you see that I was recently, I can tell you, intensively engaged in the issue of Matzitza B'Peh, and I'm very much concentrating on that now.
Our guest, Rabbi Moshe Aryeh Friedman, former leader of Neturei Karta. He's now fighting for Matzitza B'Peh in Belgium, wants to do the same campaign in New York. We're going to be right back.
I'm fighting to ban Matzitza B'Peh, not for Matzitza B'Peh.
Not for. You're looking right. You're looking to have it banned in both in Belgium, and you're looking to do the same thing in the United States as well. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. And if you'd like to chime in, then we're going to be for a little while longer. 212-769-1925. 212-769-1925. Coming up in a little while, we'll take you to individuals who are trying to get Israelis to protect themselves by teaching them the skills to fight terrorists if, God forbid, they ever invade again. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Every one of us remembers the horrific barbaric attack in Israel on October 7th, and we're all committed to do whatever we can to continue to help. To this end, we've created the Chibuk Foundation, a beacon of hope for the long-term needs of terror victims in Israel. Our mission? To ensure that no victim is forgotten now and down the road. When the world moves on, we'll still be there. For Yael, who needs a bike and someone to teach her how to ride it. For the countless others who need support for bar mitzvahs, weddings, education, therapy, and more. We've partnered with trusted nonprofits like Amachad, Yad Eliezer, Sulamot, Migdal Or, Yad Sarah, and Unity in Action, ensuring your donations reach those who need them the most. Join us for our launch event Tuesday, January 9th at 6 p.m. at Bellworks, 101 Crawford's Corner Road in Helmdale, New Jersey, with the renowned Rabbi Yitzchak David Grossman, Shulem Lemmer, Itzik Dadya, Rabbi Shlomo Farhi, political figures, and special guests from Israel and more. Together, with your help, we can be a steady source of support for these victims. Reserve your seat today at www.chibuk.org. That's chibuk.org. Because when the world moves on, Chibuk will still be there to help.
After so many wars and acts of terrorism, the people of Israel are at risk again. Israelis are living with constant danger, and many of us are at a loss as to how to help. But you can make a real difference by making a gift to support Magen David Adom, Israel's ambulance and blood service. Your gift will provide urgently needed medical supplies, help Israel's Blood Services Center, and provide equipment to MDA's 25,000 volunteer EMTs. And when you support Magen David Adom, you're supporting one of the world's leading mass casualty trauma response organizations, so you know your gift will have an impact. Make a gift today and help save lives in Israel. Call 866-632-2763. That's 866-632-2763. Or visit American Friends of Magen David Adom at redstarforisrael.org. Save a life in Israel today.
As New Yorkers, we like things fast. And when it comes to COVID-19, it's all about acting fast. Acting fast to get tested and treatment if you have COVID-19 symptoms. Treatment works best the sooner you start and can help you avoid serious illness. So act fast, especially if you're over 65 or have pre-existing conditions. Call your healthcare provider or 212-COVID-19 for testing and treatment options. And remember, COVID-19 vaccines are still the best protection against serious illness from the virus. Visit nyc.gov/vaccine finder today.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. Zev Brenner's Talkline Network invites you to join us for the launch of WNEW 102.7 FM HD3, your go-to destination for the best in Jewish culture, music, news, and talk. We're not just a radio station, we're a community. Connect with us in the car or on the go or at talklinenetwork.com and via our 24-hour listen line on your cell phones at 641-793-0382. That's 641-793-0382. Imagine 24 hours daily access to the richness of Jewish life and thought. It's like having a vibrant community at your fingertips, no matter where you are. From thought-provoking discussions to the latest hits, our programming is designed to entertain, inform, and inspire. You won't want to miss a moment. Join us on WNEW 102.7 FM HD3 and TalklineNetwork.com. Don't miss out on the excitement. Spread the word, tell your friends, and get ready for a new era in broadcasting. This is more than a radio station. It's a celebration of our rich heritage and a platform for our shared future. For more information or to host your own radio show podcast, call us at 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925, extension 100. Talkline, America's premier Jewish network, broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981. Please call us with your questions and comments at 212-769-1925. That's 212-769-1925. Or email us at zevbrenner@gmail.com.
We're back. Our final section, Rabbi Moshe Friedman. He is trying to have Metzitza B'Peh banned in Belgium. So where is it standing in the courts right now? What's the latest as far as that's concerned?
The court is the criminal court, the federal court in Antwerp, and I am party to the case there. I cannot elaborate on it, but there is a real prosecution currently ongoing, where there is expected to be, maybe in the coming weeks and months, we will hear more and much more, but there is simultaneously also the ban is actually being executed by the various ministries, which is the Minister of Health in the first instance, who is involved himself, and other ministers, and also local authorities are engaged, but they're also engaged somehow with a dialogue with the Jewish community, because they are well aware of the fact that the vast majority of the Jews in Antwerp are being forced to do Metzitze B'Pei, and there is a lifestyle, a very radical criminal practice being imposed upon them, unintentional. And
let me ask you a stupid question. If enough people don't want Metzitze B'Pei in Belgium, why don't they contract to get a mole who'll service that community?
It's a very good question, but there is, if you know, two communities here. There is one is the Shomradas, which the late Rabbi Lieberman was the chief rabbi for many years. It is the more Orthodox, modern Orthodox community, whereas the other community is imposing their lifestyle on them. And on the issue of Metzitze B'Pei, they were subject to threats and things that he never wanted to get involved, to get in odds with them. It's a problem, but the authorities here are aware of it, and they are trying to solve it, something in that direction, to ban it and make as a minimum, they are asking it should be circumcised who are not conducting that criminal practice.
We have about one or two questions. Here's an email question from you. Who is sponsoring your work?
Which work? I do quite a lot.
Whether going into court, I guess I'm assuming the listener is referring to going to court in Belgium and preparing your friends of you're a party to what's going on. So obviously the legal field involved too.
I have been for years now doing legal steps. I was party to the Constitutional Court quite 3 times. The one time at the education law, and then about the ban on the Shechita without stunning. I was also party to the case in Luxembourg at the European Court, and I always did it without attorney. I was the attorney myself. So this is.
Are you an attorney? I know
I'm not an attorney by profession, but I appear without attorney. And that gives me privilege that I can do some things, and I'm not subject to pressure, which some attorneys might be subject to pressure by lobbyings, networkings.
Now you have a daughter as an attorney. Is she helping you out with some of the legal stuff?
I have one of my children is studying law, but my daughter was running also for parliament here. She's was very successful, but she's more a doctor. She's not an attorney, but I have been involved in legal cases for years that I have. I'm not an attorney by profession, but I do appear in legal issues myself, and this is also the case here. So there is no. I don't have such extra costs that I would need to make fundraisings for it.
Okay, so here's Yossi writes a question. Do you consider yourself religious today, and which synagogue is he associated with? Also, has he been receiving death threats? And if yes, what does he do to protect himself?
About I will start with the first question. I shouldn't worry for my protection. I will know if anything, we'll know what needs to be done. With God's help, we'll be protected. And to the first question, I would consider myself being, yes, you can see, more modern Orthodox, but I think there's not much to add to it.
Would you classify yourself as modern Orthodox today?
Yes, sure.
Okay, now here's a question that came up in New York when dealing with Metzitze B'Pei, trying to get it banned, or any practice, and including with the yeshivas, is that the thinking is that once you get government involved in banning or regulating your religious practice, you're opening the door for them to come in with other issues. And so therefore, people who may be sympathetic, whether it's on this or other issues, do not want government involved because of what I just mentioned.
Okay, I'll answer to that. We have here thousands and tens of thousands of children at stake. At stake could be even their lives in danger, and it's a real assault on them without going into too much to the graphics of it. The government is the one responsible and no one else. They have to take each and every child under their protection. And they are not interested, really. I think the narrative to say that they have an interest, an other agenda to do something beyond that is simply not the case. It's not
but
true.
it could happen. The slippery slope means today it's one thing, which maybe there's a legitimate reason for it. But tomorrow you're opening up the Pandora's box, and I understand the legal argument, because once they're in, for one thing, you never know what will happen, and that there is a danger. There's a slippery slope.
Yes, Reb Zev, this argument has been argued ever since. It was already Rav Kook Zatzal was very much considering and categorizing as really being nonsense, because they were at the time also saying that if we will ban Metzitza B'Pei, maybe the Reform Jews will use it one way or another, but it all turned out to be simply not true and nonsense. It was never the case, and I can tell you there is no other agenda, neither here or anywhere else. I think the practice of Metzitza B'Pei is shocking enough that it shocks each and everyone, and I think the chances that it will get to anything else is just not the case.
What do you plan to do as far as New York is concerned?
As far as New York is concerned, it has some similarities, and I am about to launch also a criminal complaint. I will not go into the details against whom and what, but there will be pretty soon a criminal complaint also in New York, and simultaneously some other civil actions as well. But I think the way to proceed is actually not, instead of wasting time getting to new legislations, there is a real criminal case ongoing, and the criminal, I mean, I'm trying to say that the legal system over there is considering Metzitza B'Pei being criminal, and will proceed on that pretty soon.
Now, are you going to act as your own lawyer in New York as well?
Both. I will do it myself, but as far as New York is concerned, I will have some legal presentation as well.
And when do you plan to launch that in New York?
It will be in the coming weeks.
Coming weeks. And it's going to be a criminal complaint that you're filing in court?
Very much so, yes.
So what you did in Belgium, you filed a criminal complaint in the court?
It will be similar. I think it will be similar, not the same, but in New York...
blowback in the Belgian community? Did you have blowback from people, from the communities?
No. I think in Belgium, the case is very much a clear and cut case. In Belgium is the entire government behind bringing an end to it, and to my surprise, unlike before, I have not been subject to any attacks or anything. I think the government is taking it very seriously, and therefore they were somehow asked not to take the example from New York, where there was a nasty campaign attacking politicians and things like that. I think they were warned here not to follow suit, and here we have a very different approach.
But those that support Metzitza B'Pei in Belgium, aren't they doing anything? What are they doing to counteract?
No, I think what they are doing, they are currently engaged with the government to make their case, and they were already ordered to bring an end to it. I think they are trying to try to play some games to delay the case, but the Belgian authorities are very serious, and they are expecting really action. So I think this is parallel to the criminal proceeding. There is a governmental effort to make sure that it comes to an end as far as Belgium is concerned. In New York, I expect it to be more a longer case, but I think it will require some engagements in other fronts in New York, but I think we will get to that too.
Rabbi Moshe Friedman, former leader of Neturei Karta. He's fighting Metzitza B'Pei in Belgium. As you heard, he's trying to do the same in New York.
The preceding program is a paid advertisement.
Trying to do the same here in New York City in the coming weeks. That's what his plan is. So we look forward. We'll continue our conversation, and like I said, we will see how everything proceeds. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Tough and good news always. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.